The big daddy of all bearish divergences is back on. You can see the NYA price in the thumbnail had a higher high, so I was able to move the arrow with an upwards trajectory back further. And that means when I did the same over here for the New York AD, it gave it a downwards trajectory, not by much. And here's the ceiling here, 117054. If that AD line gets above that, then it will negate this bearish divergence, but for now it's a bearish divergence. And the NYA to SPX ratio has a severe downwards trajectory. However, the left behinds have been getting a bid the past couple of days. So that's what it's going to take to move this arrow above this ceiling here, 117054, continuing getting the bids on the left behinds. And now we'll do something I normally don't do every once in a while, especially at turning points in the market. We're going to look at some of the left behind stocks that are getting buy signals. And by buy signals, I mean that the REI has came down below its oversold line for 6 days or less, and then within that same time frame has gone back above it, and this one was actually 6 days, so that's questionable, but it looks good because several days later the DM1 to marker 1 and ROC have gone above their oversold lines, so that's what you want to see. REI does it first, and then DM1 and ROC. And then the directional movement index has the plus or minus in green, but we're going to focus on the ADX line where the direction has changed and has not gone back under 20, such as this one, Bar Harbor Bank shares. And with a look at the fundamentals for each ticker, and I don't go too deep into fundamentals as long as there's free cash flow, and if it's negative slightly, it's because of either capital expenditures, which in the case of these financials really doesn't happen because they're not running factories. So these financials are usually issuing debt, such as new bond issuance and buybacks and the likes of that on stocks. So as long as they're issuing bonds, that's okay, and that's for financials. And in the financial sector, you'll never see long-term debt here, such as the other companies. We'll take a look at one after this. So we look to see if the total assets are more than the total liabilities, and this one is not by much, but that's the green light for fundamentals on these financials. And we'll look at price, where there's a point reversal, point up 4, meaning that there were 4 higher closes than this one here, so it gets a designation and indication of a point up 4, and then sometimes there's point reversals trend up when there's strong trends. So that has yet to do that here, but nonetheless has printed the 4 and could very well print the 4 going the other way just as easy. But this one is on a buy signal and has had the turning point for the direction back here, where it went above 20 in the beginning of November and had a nice run, and now it's come back near 20 again. So that's what we're looking for, a good buy signal when the ADX is low near 20, and that's a low risk buying opportunity. And here's Borg Warner, ticker BWA. Definitely a left behind on the tech run up. So it's starting to get a bid now. You can see the REI, even though it came out of a region, meaning it was more than 6 bars below the oversold, it did have a nice run up, and the DM1 and RAC have just gone above their oversold line well after the fact this one did. So we'll overlook the region here a little bit, but I like to see them when there's less than 6 bars goes by and then a bump up above it. So we'll overlook that because the ADX is right at 20, and that had a directional change back here in the beginning of November also. So it's been staying above 20 and is now back near 20. So a low risk buying opportunity could change directions and just jettison it. If it turns south again, you don't lose much. And as far as the fundamentals are concerned with these industrials and basically everything else besides financials, and in the cash flow, you can see that there's 85 million free cash flow and the net is 101, so that's pretty good. And we overlook it when they're spending and investing within the company again as far as CapEx or investment, acquisitions, and disposals. So we're going to overlook that too as a good thing for regrowth. So the future could be better than the past on this one as far as free cash flow is concerned. And on these non-financials, then the other thing I look at is this long-term debt under non-current liabilities, so 3.7 billion, and as long as it's less than 50% of their market capitalization, I'm okay with that. I'll give them a chance. So this one's at 8 billion market cap, so at 4 billion, it's just about half, so a little bit under 50%, and I'll give that a pass too for the fundamentals. So this one's had a point reversal 4, and the ADX, like I said, is right at 20. It's at 20.25 and has been above 20 since this ADX direction change here back in the beginning of November, on November 3rd, and it stayed above it for all that time with sideways action in price basically, so it's poised for a jump up. And Cabot Corp, CBT, is a materials company, chemicals and materials, so that's another one that's going to need to lead the way. And you can see that this rock is still under its oversold line by just a fraction of a point, just about, and the DM1 is above it, and REI had a nice buy signal here, 5 days or less underneath oversold, and then a jump up above it. ADX has been on a nice run ever since back here again, the beginning of November, and is now in the 20 handle, but pretty far away from 20, but not that far, so a decent buying opportunity, and an REI low risk up indication. And CSX ticker, a Canadian railroad, and you can see that it's had a nice run up and a good earnings report past week. So this is part of the transports, and that's a big part of the Dow theory, where okay, we're producing these goods and companies are doing well and getting it out there. And how are the companies doing that transport those goods that they're cranking out? So if they're both doing good, then that's a very good sign. So it's definitely on the buy signal. DM1 rock was able to stay above the oversold line without going under it when REI had its 5 days or less, and then a jump up above its oversold line, and all that happened after the fact. So this is looking pretty good here. And the ADX again looks like a end of November jump up above 20 for a change in direction here, and is now maybe getting near 20. It's in the 20 handle, so pretty good buying opportunity there. And here's CTRA Energy, and this one has an ATM exhaustion alert up, and it's been 4 bars since that printed, and some pretty nice move to the upside. It has a point reversal up 4 with uptrend bar signals here with these arrows. REI blasted above its overbought line, which is a good sign, and DM1 and ROC went above here, so that's looking good. And the ADX is at 2142 and has gone back above right here after this sideways action here from a downtrend. So that's just now changing direction to the upside. And Citizens Financial, it's a financial bank, and it's had an ATM pullback alert, but it looks like it's almost been 8 bars since it printed, so can't count on that for any more up price action. The point reversal did print, so that's a good sign. And here's a nice REI, 5 days or less and then above oversold. DM1 is coming out of a region 13 bars or more underneath its oversold line, and then crossed above it. Here it's actually 46.30, so above 40. And same thing with ROC, printed a region which is 15 bars or more under the oversold line, and then a bump up above it, so that's looking pretty good. And the ADX never did make it below 20, came pretty close here end of October, but it went on a direction change here, and you could see the up price action and then a pullback. So that's what we're into now, and it's at 27.92, and there was a crossover of the DMI plus above the DMI minus, which is always a good sign. Discover Financial, and ROC is not quite above its oversold line yet, and the ADX has had a nice pullback. It's in the 30 handle, but look at that up move. It had a ATM pullback alert up, and so there's a few bars left to go before that's negated. An REI low risk up indication, the point reversal 4, but no trend bars yet. So this is looking pretty good. Came out of a really strong run up. You can see the region it printed here being 13 bars or more above its overbought line, so that was really strong move. Had a bit of a pullback, so this is an interesting one. DMI plus above DMI minus. Enos Incorporated ticker EBF, came out of this directional movement ADX here beginning or middle of January, and you can see the downtrend here, but then a direction change possibly here as long as it stays above 20, and it's at 23.54, and nice buy signal here between these three, so that's a nice one there. It's had the point reversal, point up 4, but they're all red ATM trend bars, so that's not a good sign here. Let's get some green ones similar to this, a bunch of red ones, and then they turn green. So that's what we're looking for over here. IQVIA Holdings, IQV, it's a healthcare technology company. Nice REI DM1 and rock buy signal after a nice run up like some of the other ones we just looked at. And you can see the direction did not change from this downdraft, so it got as low as 20.74 and then headed back up, but it is now back at 21.19. So let's see if it can stay above 20 again. So that's a nice buy signal there. ATM pullback alert up. Looks like about 6 or 7 bars though, so that's almost spent. There's a point reversal 4 with a couple of trend up arrows here, so that's a good indication. Keurig, Dr. Pepper really had their problems here, so the direction changed back here in the beginning of October, so it stayed above 20 all that time, and it's now flirting with going back under, but it's on a buy signal for the REI, DM1, and ROC. Even though they're out of sync, meaning the REI had its 5 days or less and then a bump up above the oversold, but DM1 and ROC happened right around the same time. I like to see a delay on these two after this happens, but we'll give it the benefit of a doubt. There's an REI low risk up and ATM pullback alert up that's been spent, more than 8 bars. Same thing with this point reversal. Had a one that's up and now there's one down, so now we're waiting for another up. Could happen on this little bump up, couple more days. And Key Corp, ticker KEY, is a commercial and consumer banking. And look at that, it really blasted it up for the REI, and DM1 and ROC came off of some pretty serious uptrend here for a pullback, and now maybe a continuation. And the ADX changed direction here back in the middle of November, and what a nice run that was. And it's on the 20 handle now, but it printed the point reversal up 4 and some nice trend up arrows here. LTC Properties, obviously a REIT. The REI DeMarker 1 and ROC buy signal was ugly, but it still had a nice REI, 5 days or less under oversold, and then a bump up. So these are both above. They're oversold for DM1 and ROC, so let's give it the benefit of a doubt. And the direction is just now changing. You can see that there was this downtrend here, and the direction changed just recently. So on the 25th it went above 20, so it could be getting in on the beginning of the up move now. There was a REI, low risk up indication here, and a point reversal up for no trend arrows though. And it's those REITs that are going to like the lower interest rates, so this will be banking on a Fed rate cut in March, so that's a 50-50 toss-up. So a bit of speculation going on here in the REITs. And Nike, I never really did follow them. They really had some problems here big time. So it came out of this direction here. So it had the ADX change here way back in September and has pretty much stayed above it. It came close here but continued the uptrend, and now there's a pullback a little bit but still in the 30 handle. But this is a big name. I don't know what happened to them, but the DM1 is coming out of a region for oversold, more than 13 bars under oversold, and now it's bumped up above it, and ROC is above it too, and REI is about to go above overbought. Again, an ugly buy signal, but pretty good. There's a couple of low risk ups for REI, point reversal 4, and Regency Centers, another REIT, ticker REG, has an ATM pullback alert up. It's been about 5 or 6 bars. There's a point reversal 4 up here, no trend bars, but a pretty good buy signal on the REI, Demerker 1, and ROC here. DM1 is coming out of an oversold region, so that's a good sign. And the ADX changed directions here. The beginning of December went above 20 and has stayed up there ever since. Nice pullback here, and it's pretty low down to 20.95, so an interesting buying opportunity there. And again, REITs, maybe a bit of speculation. Here's another one, RMAX or whatever they're called there. Same thing, REI, buy signal, DM1, and ROC needs to follow through. It's still under its oversold line here, but yeah, the direction ADX is about to go back under 20 possibly after changing directions, almost changing directions it is back here. So it never did go under 20 and is now on a nice uptrend with a nice pullback and a stale ATM pullback alert up and a REI low risk indication here as it came off of neutral 0 and blasted above the overbought line. So we need to get ROC above its oversold line, and then we got something here. And Synex is a technology company. It's on a halfway decent REI, DM1, and ROC buy signal here. And the ADX had a nice pullback after almost going under from this downdraft. Didn't go under and stayed above it, changed directions, definitely to the upside, and now a decent pullback here, so good buying opportunity possibly here. And then Square or Block SQ, REI buy signal here, DM1 is back above its oversold. Same thing with ROC, just about, and a region printed down here, so 15 bars or more underneath its oversold line. And the ADX is another one It never did make it under 20, and then just changed directions to the upside, and now it's back to 25.60 here. So as long as it stays above 20, that's a pretty good buying opportunity there. Oots, great pretzels, if you can find them. REI buy signal. Same thing with DM1 and rock. So that's looking pretty good. It was more than 6 days or more below its oversold and then went up above it. So this looks like about 7 days. So it's questionable, but looks pretty good. And again, I don't believe this one made it under the 20 from this huge downdraft and sideways action here, and then changed directions to the upside, like right here. As low as it got was about 23.60, and then off to the races. Bit of a pullback, forming a little base action here. So this is a very interesting one too, even though the ADX is well above 30, it's almost a 40, bit stretched.